evening. I will call to order the Finance Committee of December 12th, 2023, and it is 6 p.m. Second item, approval of minutes. Do I have a motion to approve the draft minutes of the November 28th, 2023 Finance Committee meeting?
I move approval.
All right, we have a motion for approval made by Alder Wheeler. Discussion. Hearing none, I'll place the motion before us to a vote. Those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Hearing none, the motion carries. Moving on to item 3, public appearances, non-agenda items. I see no one in chambers or online, correct, Scott? All right, thank you. Item 4, Finance Director report, the Treasurer's report as of October 31st, 2023. I turn it over to Misty Dodge.
Thank you. So to start, the Treasurer's report is included in the packet. That is the October one. One thing to note is we did have some CD reinvestments. I thought this was interesting. Two of the CDs that we renewed were 4%, and we got them for 5.29%. The third CD that we renewed was at 0.2%. And we renewed it at that 5.29%, so just an indicator of the market is quite different than it has been a few years back. And then we did renew one other local bank CD. So I thought those were interesting. Otherwise, I'll pause if there's questions before I move on. Okay. Other things to let you know, so tax collection has started. Bills were mailed on Friday. They hit the mailboxes on Monday, and we've had some people already in. The bills will be uploaded to Access Stain closer to the statutory deadline, which is next Monday. So they will be up there soon. I did email out the council a summary of what the tax rates were last year compared to this year. And we've had quite a few people interested about why their tax bill went up. So there's a great section in the middle of the tax bill that splits it by jurisdiction. So you can see for the county in general, that went up 17%. City of Fitchburg went up 0.1%. The school district went up between 6 and 12, I think it is, depending on which school district it was. And MATC went up, I want to say 7%. So when you look at that broken out, it's pretty clear what the driver was of those increased tax bills. But it's still an education piece that we're trying to make sure is known. The other thing we'd like council's help with is lottery credits. So with as many new buildings that are out there, new homes that are being built, if the home was a primary residence as of 1/1/23, there's a really simple form they need to fill out letting us know that it was their primary residence, and they get an over $300 credit on their tax bill. This is not something that happens automatically. They do have to fill out that super simple form. So if you can help us get the word out on that too, we'd really appreciate it. Usually we try to watch for those as we collect, as they come through. But we do have new software this year that we're piloting on behalf of Dane County, and the screen that we see doesn't have that detail. So it's a lot harder for staff as they're collecting to notice if a lottery credit's not there. So we're really going to try to do some outreach to make sure people are looking to see if that is included on their bill. Speaking of the new software, so we are piloting it. We're one of a handful of municipalities. It's been an interesting journey. We pivoted again today. So we just really ask for everybody's patience with us as we figure out how to best receipt and use that new software and make sure everything is still getting recorded as it needs to. A couple other things. One, we did sign a contract for our upgraded accounting software. So we are currently on one version that has been ended. We are upgrading to the new version. So we signed the contract in the last couple of weeks, but the actual implementation won't happen until January. And then the sewer rates. In the ordinances, there's that automatic process by which we can pass on the increase that we get from MMSD. So we have done that exercise, and the sewer rates will increase 7.7% for 2024. That is all I have.
Very good. Very good. Thank you, Misty. We'll move on. We will move on to item 5, review of bills. 5A, detailed review of checks for $10,000 and above for the period of November 16th through the 30th, 2023, totaling $2,922,313.61. Questions, discussion? Hearing none, moving on to item 5B, detailed review of all checks issued. Checks 125,998 through 126,040 for the period of November 16th to the 30th, 2023, totaling $2,986,300 $2,986,358.04. Discussion. Hearing none, moving on to item 5C, detailed review of ACH payments for $10,000 and above for the period of November 1st through the 30th, 2023, totaling $564,552.21. Discussion, questions? Hearing none, moving on to 5D, detailed review of all ACH payments for the period of November 1st through the 30th, 2023, totaling $893.31. Discussion. Hearing nothing, we will move on to item 6. That's the our action items, a portion of the agenda. Item 6A, do I have a motion to move Resolution R-218-23, approving change order with AECOM for Fitchburg TMDL, Winds Slam model update?
I move approval.
All right, we have a motion for approval made by Alder Gerhart. And I see Tim online. Did you pop in for this one, or?
Yes, sir.
All right, Tim, the floor is yours.
Thank you. So this resolution's for the stormwater quality modeling, and this stormwater quality modeling was completed back in 2014, found that the city of Fitchburg was not in compliance with the TMDL pollutant load reductions, and TMDL is an acronym for total maximum daily load. AECOM was authorized to complete the updated TMDL wind slam model by resolution R-152-22. And their current contract states that up to 60 stormwater best management practices were to be added to this model. However, as we work through this, we found an additional 115 BMPs that identified as being eligible to be included in the model. It's beneficial for the city to include these additional 115 BMPs, as this will demonstrate greater pollutant load reductions, helping to show compliance with TMDL requirements and reduce the annual adaptive management costs. These annual costs, it's $105,000 we pay to the Yahara Winds. The city does annually. So by incorporating these additional BMPs, that'll help reduce that $105,000 annual cost. The proposed change order is to increase the contract price by $126,272. There is a budget amendment associated with this, where we're moving $60,000 of stormwater rate funding from the bike roundabout repairs project, and then also an additional $22,739 of stormwater rate funding. We're moving from the Seminole Glen storm study project into this project. And with that, does anyone have any questions?
No, hearing none. Thank you, Tim.
You're welcome.
All right, hearing no further discussion, I'll place the motion before us to a vote. Those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, hearing the ayes have it, motion carries. All right, moving on to the next action item, 6B. Do I have a motion to move Resolution R-228-23, approving the Buxton Company LLC master agreement with the City of Fitchburg, Wisconsin for economic development services?
I move approval.
All right, we have a motion for approval made by Alder Wheeler. And Mike Zimmerman, I believe you're going to speak to this item?
Yes, thank you, Mr.
All right,
Chair.
thank you.
This is an item that we had included in the 2023 budget for $35,000, and it's a market research data analytics software package that Joyce and I want to get activated. We were waiting until we got the 3 tax increment districts approved. So the cost is $35,000, which would be split $15,000 from TID 10, where we have retail and commercial space available, TID 13, where we'd like to see retail and commercial uses, and then $5,000 from our CETA balance there. And this will allow us to run kind of trade ring and market research data analytic reports, not only for ourselves, but also reports that we can share with prospects. We went out on a field trip to visit a breakfast restaurant that we'd like to attract to Fitchburg. That would be one of the first tenants we'd like to run a report for specifically. But the other good thing about this is that we can share this data with some of our commercial property owners as well that have space available that they can share with their tenants. A previous software that we used to get a subscription for had a lot of licensing restrictions and requirements that we couldn't. So we think this is a good software to try and see if we get a good return on investment with some retail and commercial businesses coming to Fitchburg.
Very good. Thank you, Mike. Questions for Mike? All right. Hearing none, I'll place the motion before us to a vote then. Those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? The ayes have it. Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mike. Moving on to the next action item, 6C. Do I have a motion to move Resolution R-231-23, a resolution to approve a contract with Dane County to accept 2024 Neighborhood Navigator funding? This is a direct referral.
I move approval.
All right, we have a motion for approval made by Alder Gerhart and Misty, are you speaking to this?
I will take this one.
Okay.
So this is an annual contract that we've had the last several years with Dane County that helps fund 100% of the neighborhood navigators that the city employs. So this is budgeted. It is a routine grant, but the county does require that it has council approval.
Very good. All right. Questions or discussion? Alder Gerhart.
Do we know what the salary is for the neighborhood navigators? What does the budget allow us to pay?
So I know it's a minimum of 15 because that's the lowest LTE pay that we have. I don't know the exact amount. I can get that for you after this meeting.
Thank you.
Yep.
Additional questions, discussion? All right. Hearing none, I'll place the motion before us into a vote. Those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Ayes have it. Motion carries. Moving on to the next action item, which is 6D. Do I have a motion to move Resolution R-236-23, approving a contract for Verona Road West Neighborhood Teen Services and Resource Facility? It's a feasibility study, Phase 2, and this is a direct referral.
I move approval.
All right. Motion for approval made by Alder Wheeler and Misty.
I can speak on this one.
All right, very good. Chad, the
Evening,
floor is
everyone.
yours.
How y'all doing? This contract before you is obviously for Phase 2 feasibility for the potential teen center that the City Council is considering. The city put out an RFP requesting bids or proposals to complete this feasibility study. We received one proposal from EQT by Design in conjunction with Hope Community Capital and JLA Architects. The city staff has been negotiating the contents of said contract that you have in front of you. It's been reviewed by our city attorney and also, I believe, already signed by EQT by Design. So we are looking for approval to proceed with this contract and begin Phase 2 of the feasibility study.
Very good. Thank you, Chad. Questions for Chad and discussion? Yes, Alder.
Do we know what the timeline is on this? Is it going to be over the course of the entirety of 2024? Or?
I know I have reviewed said contract, but I don't recall specifically on the timeline. Should be included in the packet, would be my assumption, the contract.
I can take a look. I just was curious if you know off the top of your head.
Yeah, I don't. I'm sorry.
That's okay. Thanks.
Additional questions? All right. Hearing none, I'll place the motion before us then to a vote. Those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? The ayes have it. Motion carries. Thank you, Chad.
Thank you.
Moving on. Let's see. That would be action item 6E. Do I have a motion to move Resolution R-237-23, amending the 2023 Grants Donation Fund budget, PD bounce back grant purchases, and this is a direct referral.
I move approval.
All right. Motion for approval made by Alder Gerhart And Misty, you're speaking to this item?
Yes, please.
All right.
This resolution is a budget amendment, but it is a correction of a clerical error that the finance team made. The police department did submit their request for carryover of the bikes that they were going to purchase with the grants last year, but due to clerical error, it didn't make it onto the resolution that council approved. So this is a retroactive reapproval of that purchase so that they can spend the rest of that grant money before the deadline of the end of the year.
Very good. Questions for Misty? Discussion? Hearing none, I'll place the motion before us to a vote. Those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Ayes have it. Motion carries. Moving on to the next action item, which is 6F. Do I have a motion to move Resolution R-238-23, adopting the schedule to update the ARPA/TID closure investment plan? This is a direct referral.
I move approval.
Motion for approval made by Alder Gerhardt. Misty, you're speaking to this item as well.
I am.
All right.
So since we have an adopted budget for 2024, time to start thinking about the investment plan. So what this resolution is the schedule by which we would get that investment plan completed. It is a direct referral so that we can kind of get moving on it. It's a relatively compressed timeline. The only real change that we made to the schedule from other years is that rather than having a special finance committee meeting to do the mayor's proposed investment plan, I'm proposing that we do it at a regularly scheduled finance committee meeting. Theory being that at this point, the projects are all kind of figured out. We're mostly just updating costs. I don't really expect there to be a lot of new projects identified through this process, so I think we can do that in just a regular meeting instead of having to have a special one.
All right, very good. Questions, discussion? All right. Hearing none, I'll place the motion before us to a vote. Those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Ayes have it. Motion carries. That concludes our item 6, action items. Moving on to the next portion of the agenda, which is item 7, announcements. 7A, the next Finance Committee meeting is scheduled for January 9th, 2024. And do I have a motion to adjourn?
I move to adjourn.
All right, motion for adjournment made by Alder Wheeler. Those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Ayes have it, motion carries. We are adjourned at 6:17 p.m. Thank you.